I don't know if anybody's going to make a big game move this season. I don't know if any of these twists are going to benefit anyone other than the large popular alliance. I don't really, to be honest, know why this season is called the All-Star season, because I haven't really seen any All-Star gameplay via these players other than Janelle and Kaser. That's about it. Let me know how you guys feel. For those of you who don't know, I'm Sage Valentine. I'm back here with another eviction night review of CBS's Big Brother Season 22 All Stars Season 2, or All Stars Series 2. All Stars 2. Anyway, the HOH competition was pretty much the carnival quick shot, and Enzo won the HOH. Which was good because Tyler didn't want Kaser to win. That alliance didn't want Kaser to win. David said he wanted to win. I was just like, David, you're not going to win this. And Memphis was still targeting David. And I'm just like, Memphis, you really want to waste another HOH targeting David? Like, chill. FYI, on a side note on the feeds were down for a bit. I believe it was not today, but either yesterday or the day before yesterday. Because somebody flew a banner over the house that said Nicole was a liar. And there were a couple wall yellers saying Nicole was a liar. And I think either Cody was playing you or Nicole and Cody were playing you, something like that. I swear people are really pissed about this season, and I've seen the blog articles, and a lot of these publications are just annoyed with Big Brother. I was like, dude, if you could only see how truly angry people are on these different platforms. It's bad when you know the casuals and the feedsters are like on even playing fields at this point with their feelings, once again, like they were last season. Anyway, Enzo's talking about how he wants to cause chaos and stuff and win this game, and I'm just like, Enzo, you did not accomplish any of that. You haven't accomplished any of that so far. You've just basically done what the house wanted. Basically every HOH at this point has done what the house wanted, so unless you count Memphis, but I don't know what the hell Memphis was doing, but pretty much, like, nobody made big moves. Everybody did, like, safe things, made safe decisions. It's really, really weird. So anyway, Danny tries to blame Bailey for the hinky votes, and kind of Cody and Enzo pick up on that, and they're just kind of like, you know, she needs to go, but again, she's not on the block. She's not being nominated. Bailey and Davon try to figure out who voted for Janelle to stay. And Bailey feels real bad because she claims she could not vote to keep Janelle in the house. And I'm just like, yeah, you could have. But the problem is that this house, this game, is so laser focused on what the house wants instead of personal gameplay. That's the one thing I miss about old school Big Brother. Again, Cody doesn't believe that Danny didn't vote to keep Janelle. She's kind of obvious, pretty much. David picks up that somebody from the Big Alliance voted to keep Janelle. Enzo said he's loyal to Cody. Enzo listens as Cody tells him about what Danny did, and Enzo picks up on that and basically says, yeah, I see that Danny's trying to throw Bailey and Davon under the bus. So then there's like a segment of like Kaser having another conversation with Davon that really upset a lot of people. Again, if you want to hear my stance on race as it pertains to Big Brother and reality shows, I'll leave a link or two down in the description box so that you guys can check it out for yourselves, because I'm not getting into that in this video. Nope, not falling for that one. Not this season. Kaser's so empathetic, seems like a good guy. I like him, and I like his wife. His wife is also tweeting, trying to get people to leave Bailey alone because of that conversation between Bailey and Kaser, and that people saw in the feeds, and she was trying to say, like, you know, Kaser understands, I understand, like, just leave Bailey alone. So pretty much Enzo, Cody, and Bailey have to pick new have-nots, and they choose Tyler, Davon, and Danny. Then we get a Nicole and Danny friendship segment where they basically say that they both trust each other, and I'm just like, Danny, I don't know if you should trust her in this game because most of her friends in this game end up getting played, and that's why she's known as a snake. And by she, I mean Nicole Franzel. All right, Enzo pretty much decides that he's going to put up Kaser as the target and Kevin as a pawn. Kaser tries to reason with him. He basically says that he respects him and that they get along. Enzo said that because he didn't talk game with Kaser, that's the reason why he can't trust him. So you spent 4 weeks in the Big Brother house and this person didn't talk to you and you didn't reach out to that person. So that's the reason why you want to nominate that person. Yeah, these like reasons as to why people are getting nominated are just strange to me. I don't know about you guys, but to me, I'm just like, you guys are giving strange reasons. And then you're coming off more as emotional than actual strategic gameplay at this point. Christmas receives 3 more babies and then that punishment is over. Enzo decides that he and Christmas have to work together and they will protect each other. Kaser is the target. Enzo is iffy about Ian. Christmas warns him not to trust Ian. She says Kevin's a flip-flopper. David's going to stir things up. Nicole and Ian are very close. Ian will do anything for Nicole Franzel, so maybe that'll work out. And Nicole and Danny are very close, and I believe they said Danny has a good social game, or were they saying both of them have a good social game? Because they kind of do. Get to the nomination ceremony. I'm trying to move quickly through this so I can get to episode 12 and then 13, so bear with me. Enzo chose Kaser and Kevin pretty much because they haven't talked game and it's nothing personal. Again, Enzo could have reached out to both of these players if it was really that serious. Kevin is all upset because he doesn't want to be nominated again and he has to win the veto. Kaser said he has got to win the veto to save himself. Kaser is obviously the main target. Kevin is the pawn, according to Enzo. And everybody else in the house should be very, very worried. Because if one of them wins the veto, he could put them up. And by everybody else, he basically means anybody who's not in his gigantic alliance or even the mini alliance. So we get to episode 12, and at this point, I'm like, Ian, Danny, or Nicole should be on the block at this point. I swear these people are wasting their HOHs and their nominations. Pretty much Enzo says and repeats the exact same thing he said at the end of episode 11, which was that Kevin's a floater pawn and Kaser is target number 1. So Kaser knows that there's a big alliance and it is picking off anyone linked to Janelle. And I'm like, that's a really weird reason to do that, but okay. Kevin is really upset and he asks Enzo why he nominated him. And Enzo's like, listen, you're not a target, you're safe. But pawns are never safe. So I can completely understand why Kevin was worried, because there is a curse when people are pawns, and there's an old saying that pawns usually end up going home when they least expect it. Nicole Franzel sees Kevin as a floater, and I'm like, Nicole, you're not doing any more than Kevin is doing at this point in the game, other than crying and complaining about people saying things behind your back. And I'm just like, you're here to play the game, not worry about how people feel about you in the house to that extent where you have to cry and constantly cry. Because for those of you who don't have the feeds, she cries a lot and it gets annoying after a while. So Enzo and Kaser have another conversation. And Enzo tells Kaser, listen, I nominated you to make 7 people happy. And I'm just like, this is your HOH. This isn't 7 people's HOH. It's yours. It's yours. Every move and decision is critical for your game, not everybody else's game, because you could be benefiting their games and effing up your own game. Kaser's like, I'm not upset at all. I'm a free solo agent. I want to work with you, and Enzo's not buying it. Not surprised at all. David has no clue where he stands in the game. He's talking to Bailey. He says he feels like the odd man out. He heard his game with that whole situation with Tyler last week, and yeah, he did. Bailey says she didn't know what to say to Davon when she was talking to her about what David said, and she feels bad, but she also realizes that David is rubbing people the wrong way. He needs to be low-key. Meanwhile, unfortunately, she and Davon believe that they are a part of this alliance that really does not exist at this point. It's just kind of like a cover to keep these people loyal. So Ian talks game with Enzo to save himself because he caught wind that he might be a replacement nominee, and he lies and says that he doesn't know who he would nominate. Enzo says to us that he barely spoke to Ian, and Ian is on his radar. And the editing makes it seem like Ian is going to be nominated, but he wasn't, as you know. Then we see a segment with Memphis, and they also add Kaser in, and it's an episode of Morning with Memphis. It's Memphis's little talk show. Then we get to a conversation between Kevin and David where Kevin convinces David to basically play in the veto should Kevin get the house guest choice little token thingy. And David agrees to play for him, and I'm sitting here like, I'm not sure if this is a good idea, but these two need to make some big moves, and they also say that as well. Then pretty much the players have to pick players for the veto to play with them. Enzo chooses Tyler, Kaser, Bailey, and Kevin gets house guest choice, so he chooses David. All right. So Kevin feels good that David is in the game, and he feels like he has his back. So Kaser said he didn't come to get picked off. He tries to talk to Bailey, reason with her, and get her to play for him and try to win the veto and save him. But Bailey tells us that she's not going to do that. And I'm sitting here like, are you going to do something, or are you just going to let them like run you out the game? Like, what is going on here? Like, how many people have to tell you that you are not in with the in crowd, you're outside of the in crowd? Like, there's literally like a VIP door, and they kind of open the door so you can see inside, but then they slam the door again. And her attitude regarding how she addresses Kaser is so off. Like, it's so off and nasty, and the way that that scene is edited makes it seem like she was being extremely nasty. I'm just like, Bailey, what are you doing? Like, I was watching it with my mom, and mom was like, why does she have such an attitude? I'm like, I don't know. It's so sad how at this point she's so blinded to what's going on in the game. Enzo is extremely happy that he and Tyler are playing in the veto because they're just like, listen, we can both like win this, or one of us could win this. I'm saying we both can because literally one of them could. But anyway, because they've both won competitions, but Enzo's really worried about David winning the veto and using it. And they're just like, nobody else can win veto, but only Tyler and Enzo, according to them and Cody. We get to the fourth veto competition known as BB Theater. Kevin ends up winning it. I knew Kevin was going to win, although low-key, I really, really wanted Kaser to win. I really wanted him to win, to save himself. That whole competition was weird. It was like a puppet master thing. It reminded me so much of an episode of Criminal Minds. I don't know if you guys watch this show, but anyway, it's got this actor, Brad Dourif, who does the voice of Chucky in the Child's Play movies. The one that didn't have Mark Hamill in it. Well, the ones. Anyway, like, his episode of Criminal Minds had to do with, like, puppets and humans as puppets. And I'm like, did y'all get that from CSI? Because it feels like you guys did, Big Brother. Anyway, it came down pretty much to David and Kevin. And I was just as shocked as everybody else. Like, these two battled out for the veto? Wow. Kevin tells David he has his back, but David's like, listen, Kevin, be quiet. He's saying this in the diary room. He held on because he has to prove something in the end. And in the end, of course, Kevin won. And Kevin's like telling us, do not underestimate Kevin. Kaser doesn't see this win as an issue. And now Enzo has to choose a replacement and show his cards, which puts him in a bad position with his alliance. Ian is worried that he'll be a replacement nominee. He's worried even more. Enzo talks to Cody and Nicole Franzel, who doesn't like the idea of this conversation revolving around getting rid of Ian. But she stays quiet and she listens. Enzo said he's here to make big moves, one of which would be putting up Ian as a replacement, but he doesn't end up doing it. And then Christmas pops up and suggests that she should be a pawn, because this way she will solidify her trust with Enzo and throw off the house. But pawns go home, and she's very worried. But she really didn't end up throwing off the house, because she basically revealed to the house guests during her nomination speech that she was working with Enzo. So I'm like, what in the world? Anyway, Danny is shady by mentioning, she comes in the room because she was talking to Davon and Bailey, and she says this in front of Nicole. She was just like saying it to Tyler because, and I'm going to have to explain it because I just jumbled myself up. Basically, Tyler and Nicole were talking because I think Tyler had just finished talking to Bailey or something. And then Danny comes in and Danny's just like, Bailey and Davon want to have a meeting. And Tyler's like, Danny, what the hell are you doing? Because they're not even supposed to know. Like, no one else is supposed to know that we're in an alliance. Especially not Nicole F. And the editing made it seem like Danny was in danger. But again, she was not. But Tyler still ratted her out to the guys, though. And Enzo has to choose a replacement nominee. And it seems like Danny might be in danger. But again, she's not. At the veto ceremony, Kevin uses the veto to save himself. Enzo puts up Christmas in his place. He said that he had to pick someone who is secure against the target. Enzo said it was tough. Christmas is taking a bullet. He couldn't risk going after Ian and Danny. And I'm just like, dude, if you don't take a shot now, that's the end of you. If they appear shady to you, get rid of them. But no, she won't do it. Christmas is 99.5% that she is confident that she's safe. Kevin is happy. He said that he will not be seen as a doormat. Kaser is worried. Tyler sees what Danny is up to, and he said her number might be up soon. Sage Valentine's sitting up here like, I'll believe it when I see it. Then we get to the eviction night. So this is pretty much going to move very quickly. I'm not going to drag it out because we're up to 16 minutes already. So here goes nothing. Eviction night, episode 13. Christmas solidifies Kaser leaving by being a pawn. And in doing so, Enzo is showing his cars. Why am I messing up everything? I apologize, guys. I'm going to say this again. Please forgive me. Enzo basically said that Christmas being a pawn solidifies Kaser is leaving, and it shows all of his cards. Kaser knows that he's going home. Memphis keeps trying to act like there's no big alliance when he knows damn well there is, and he created that alliance. And Kaser is kind of on to him that there's some sort of alliance and that he's not telling the truth. Danny is messing with Enzo and Cody's game, and her gameplay is very messy and sloppy according to Enzo and Cody. So Cody comes clean to Enzo that he, Christmas, Nicole, Danny, Tyler, and Memphis are in another alliance. Tyler says that Danny is being super duper extra and she's trying to turn everyone against each other, and she is, but again, they're not nominating her. Bailey tells Tyler that Danny is planting some major seeds. She is, but she's not on anybody's radar, so much so that they will nominate her. Preferably the HOH, because he just let that opportunity pass him by. So Tyler spoke to Davon and he told her that Danny keeps fueling the fire to get him out, and also she is also talking about Davon. And then Tyler goes back to the boys, kind of switch the conversation around a bit because Davon said that Danny needs to go. And Enzo was like, well, Danny needs to go because she's dangerous, but so is Davon. Ian is wondering about a lot of stuff in this game, wondering. He says that Kaser told him that a core alliance is running the house, and he decided that he was going to play dumb. He talks about the camera bedroom group, which is basically a majority of that alliance, the big alliance. Actually, no, I think it's a small alliance because it has to do with, what was it, Tyler, Enzo, Nicole, Franzel, and Cody. Cody and Nicole are the core in the alliance. That is true. Because it seems like Cody and Enzo are the core, but Nicole is like this with Cody more than Enzo. Ian is basically the shield. His relationship with Nicole is not what he thought it was. No, can't trust Nicole. That's why when she talks, for the most part, you hear the sound because she's a snake in this game. Kevin said that Ian is figuring out the core for him during the conversation that they were having. That's where, like, Ian was wondering about stuff. He was talking to Kevin. But keep in mind that Kaysar and Janelle told him that prior to this, and Kevin wouldn't listen, just like Bailey and Davon wouldn't listen. Ian tells Bailey that the alliance, the big alliance, is like an octopus. Bailey said that Cody is covered on all sides. Ian says everyone thinks they're in the core, but they're not, and Ian and Bailey decide to play as a tag team. Hopefully that works out and they're able to play as a tag team, because I just want to see how that'll work. Ian's talking to Kevin, and he said, you know, we could get Kaysar to light the house on fire without any repercussion. Not literally, but yeah, nobody's going to come after him. Ian tells Kaysar that he has the entire thing mapped out. He says that many people who believe they are in something are starting to compare notes. It's Nicole and Cody with everyone else, and that is the truth. Kaysar in the diary room said it does sound fun to light the house on fire. And at this point, I'm watching the episode. I'm just like, I want him to do it, because it will send that alliance into chaos, and it definitely did, because now they don't trust each other that much anymore. So, here we go. We get down to the, what is it called? The nominations speeches. And pretty much, Kaysar says he loves everyone. Everyone sucks at strategy and gameplay, though. He said that Cody and Nicole run the house. There's a secret alliance to the end. The guys have an alliance. Danny, Nicole, and Cody have a love triangle that no one wants to take a shot. Casuals, that is the God honest truth. There is a love triangle going on in there that is weird. I don't know what it is with Cody and these girls that are taken in this game, but there is something going on with them snuggling. And he was like, listen, and I'm talking about Kaysar, if you want to play All Stars, then keep me in this game. Christmas made her little corny speech where it was like rhyming or something like that. And I'm just like, if you could be any more obvious with the fact that you are safe and you feel safe, just say what you got to say and keep going. But she thanks everyone. To her Big Brother house guest, she campaigns that you vote the HOH way, basically outing Enzo and her little alliance, basically a secret alliance, and have the Christmas joy stay. But the way that Kaysar did, or the way that he basically said his piece during his nomination speech, or no, his eviction speech, is exactly how you play the game. Something that a lot of people haven't been doing in these past couple seasons, but I digress. So in a vote of 10-0, Cody, Memphis, Danny, who said that Kaysar is disrespectful and tasteless. Honey, if you knew the things that she was saying on the feeds, that's all I'm going to say. You need to know, go on Twitter and ask around, but they said she's been saying a lot of, like, microaggressions towards Bailey and Davon. I'm staying out of it, but I'm just saying, if you guys want to hear about it, go right on and ask around. Because she was talking about Bailey being angry and aggressive, and she and Christmas kind of agreed about that, but I digress. Ian, Kevin, Davon, David, Bailey, and Nicole F. and Tyler. 3, 6, 9, 10. Okay. 10-0. They voted Kaysar out. And I was like, listen, Danny can go. And I'm a fan of Danny, but at this point in the game, like, she can go. Because she's really not making any major moves. And this whole, like, catty, we got to get Davon out for this and that. And I'm just like, no. If they get rid of her, I won't be sad at all. And I love Danny. Don't get me wrong. Kaysar's interview was sad, and it made me teary-eyed, and apparently made a lot of people on social media teary-eyed as well. Kaser said that he knew giving his speech was a long shot, but it was his Hail Mary. He said that he basically left a present on his way out. And he said this season is too friendly and is getting boring. Out of the mouths of babes, except Kaser is a grown man, but same sentiment applies. Kaser learned that not only was Nicole, F, Tyler, Cody, and Danny in an alliance, but also Christmas and Memphis were in an alliance. And he's just like, dude, that's why Memphis was being all cagey when I was talking about the alliance. He was acting like nothing was going on. He also learns that Memphis created the alliance. He said he didn't see it coming. And by he, I mean Kaser. Kaser said he came to Big Brother to change... I was going to say to change his life. No. He came to Big Brother because it changed his life 15 years ago. And it was so much more to him. And he's not okay with the way the world is right now. Someone had to take a stand in the game. There's a better way to play this game. Kaser said he speaks from his heart, and it's been an incredible journey, and it has, and he is sadly going to be missed because I really liked his conversations because he spoke to people with empathy. He didn't speak to people, and he didn't have like an attitude, and he really, really wanted to help people in the game, and he and Janelle tried as hard as they could to no avail because nobody was listening, but they're listening now, but unfortunately it's too late. So we get down to the HOH competition, which is called the filler face off, and Julie Chen's like, hey guys, none of you are have-nots. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what we wanted, Julie Chen and Big Brother. We wanted Kaser and Janelle to be safe for another week so we could see them actually play the game, but fortunately, that didn't happen. So, in the HOH competition, it was pretty much Ian versus Kevin. Kevin won. Kevin then picked Nicole versus Cody. Cody won. Then he picked Kevin versus Davon. Davon won. Then she picked Cody versus Memphis. Memphis won. Danny versus David. Danny won. Then she picked Bailey and Davon. Davon won. Davon picked Danny versus Memphis. Memphis won. And then he picked Tyler versus Davon. Davon won. And it became... She chose Xmas or Christmas versus Memphis. Christmas won, and then it became Christmas versus Davon, and it seemed like Davon was going to win, and she didn't, and I was just like, well, that's the end of this week, because that's the end of anything interesting happening in this game. I promised you guys I would do this every week regardless of whether or not I was tired or not, and I apologize if I jumbled up a couple of things because I really am tired, but I had to do it because I know you all were waiting. And I completely understand if you don't want to watch the show and you just want to watch my reviews. I'm happy about that. I really am. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leave me some comments. We can chat all about Big Brother. Tweet me at Sage Valentine on Twitter. Yeah, this week is pretty much going to go the way it's been going, and either Bailey or Davon will be nominated, and that's about it. Or they'll be nominated together. That's it. So, hopefully someone decides to play the game and make a move, because that other side is getting rather small, and the popular clique is just chilling out. So, it is what it is. I love you guys. Take care. Sage Valentine out, and I will see you next Thursday, and hopefully by then I won't be wearing this anymore, because I've been wearing this because of COVID, because I'm supposed to go back to the salon, and I'm just like, do I want to go to the salon during COVID with the COVID people? But I'm going to garner up my courage, and I'm going to go, and I'm going to go back to looking fabulous, as if I don't ever look fabulous. I'm kidding. Anyway, see you guys later. Peace out. Bye guys, love you all. Bye.